y'all. I'm currently hiding out in the woods for no particular reason. Alright, fine. I'll talk more about what's been happening for the past few videos, but I'm gonna have to be vague, because if I say their name, they'll find me, and I can't let them find me. I'm being hunted. And it's for probably the dumbest reason ever. I started playing as Princess Peach in Mario Kart. How petty do you have to be to start hunting someone to the death over Princess Peach, am I right? I'm actually a really big fan of Princess Peach, and she's one of my favorite character choices in any game where she's playable. And what makes it so odd is that a little over a year ago, if you had asked me for my opinion on her, I legitimately wouldn't have had an opinion. I had no desire or reason to ever care about her up until the reveal of Princess Peach Showtime, which, while I haven't actually played it yet, it was enough to draw me in with the new knowledge that, much like myself, Peach is a theater kid. I was a bit intrigued on this new Peach game and its cliffhanger ending when it was first teased in June of last year, and when the full reveal came and she turned into a sword fighter straight out of the Three Musketeers, it caught me so off guard that I burst into laughter, and I've been a massive fan of the character ever since. But a few months ago, I realized something while playing New Super Mario Bros. DS for the first time. Despite her prominence in the Mario franchise, essentially serving as the main female role of the series, she really doesn't get as much playtime as her popularity would suggest. She spends a lot of time being kidnapped, which is how she got her start in 1985, and has continued for nearly 40 years at this point. So, what's her role in the series in the modern day? Is she still getting kidnapped and serving as an end goal for the games, or has she pivoted to full-time playable character? That's what I've decided to talk about today. Obviously, there's a lot of games with Mario in them, but for the sake of this video, I've decided to limit myself to the Mainline and Mainline Tangent Mario games. While these descriptors in and of themselves are vague with plenty of room to make a long-form video or two about, they mean that I'm limiting myself to the games where Peach being kidnapped and being playable is enough of a toss-up to be arguable, as compared to spin-offs like the sports games where Peach has consistently been playable since Super Mario Kart in 1992. I'm covering the list of games that's on screen here, and every single one is either a platformer, the genre that Mario is famous for, an RPG where we get to see the most of her and the rest of the franchise's characters, or Princess Peach Showtime, which doesn't fit neatly into either category, but I'd be stupid not to include it. For each game, I'll go over whether Peach was kidnapped, playable, or some other third thing, and what her role meant for the series and her character as a whole. And with all that out of the way, let's get started. First up is Super Mario Bros. For the NES, and its sequel, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. They have the same basic story found in their instruction manuals. The Koopas invaded the Mushroom Kingdom, the Toads were magically transformed into various inanimate objects, and Peach, the only person capable of rescuing her subjects, was kidnapped by Bowser, who's apparently an evil wizard capable of using dark magic. I'd love to see that side of Bowser make a return in a future mainline Mario game. Nintendo, make it happen. While the story isn't super compelling and doesn't have any impact on the actual gameplay, it does set up a basic premise for the rest of the franchise, which any good first set of entries does, and it gives reason for Peach to be kidnapped, and more character than just generic girl character, which many a Peach hater has accused her of, and I will fight them to the death for this outrageous slander of her character. However, the next entry, Super Mario Bros. 2, the USA version that is, because The Lost Levels is Japan Super Mario Bros. 2, actually floats the script incredibly early into the series and makes Peach a playable character. Granted, a good chunk of that is because this game is just a reskin of an entirely different game called Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, but hey, it's now a Mario game and Peach is playable, while the story focuses more on the magical world Mario saw in a dream one night, except also the entire game is a dream, but that's not important. This game gives more to Peach from a gameplay department, most notably her signature floating ability. The ability to hover in the air for short periods of time has been a staple part of many of her appearances since this game, in addition to her relatively low speed, and it also is the first game to truly define her as one of the main characters in the franchise by giving her a tactile role to play in the games. Super Mario Bros. 3 starts off differently from the other games we've talked about so far, because while Peach isn't playable, she doesn't start the game off kidnapped. She stays in the background and sends letters with helpful items and information to the Mario Bros. As they go throughout the different parts of the Mushroom World. No, not the Mushroom Kingdom, there's a difference, and rescue the 7 kings from the Koopaling's trickery. After defeating Ludwig, the final and also best Koopaling, we get a letter from Bowser letting us know that he kidnapped the princess again. For some reason, he starts his letter with "Yo," and I just think that's really funny for some reason. I honestly don't know why. Regardless, we go fight Bowser, we win, and we rescue Peach. This game gives us 2 main pieces of information about Peach. One, that she is a powerful beneficiary and ally, able and willing to help those she cares about, and 2, that she has a dark sense of humor, but only sometimes. Honestly, that's my kind of humor now that I really think about it. Sorry, what was I talking about? Right, Super Mario World. I decided to skip Super Mario Land because Peach is not in that game, Anyways, in this game, the Bros and Peach decide to go on vacation, only for Bowser to kidnap her, and the Bros have to go rescue her and also all the Yoshis. There's not really too much new stuff in this game, but we do learn that Peach enjoys vacationing, which is just so real and I love that about her. After skipping Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, and Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island because they don't have Peach in them, we finally get to Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, the first game to really give life to much of the Mario cast thanks to a more story-driven focus. While the game does start with Peach getting kidnapped by Bowser again, things quickly change pace as the giant sword Exor falls from the sky and sends the two of them and Mario flying in different directions. Peach ends up in Booster's tower, where he then essentially kidnaps her and tries to force her to marry him. After being rescued by Mario and the rest of the party, she arranges a secret escape from her castle and joins them on the rest of their adventure to reclaim the 7 star pieces and defeat the Smithy Gang. Similarly to her appearance in Super Mario Bros. 2, Peach doesn't have much in terms of offense, but she has several powerful healing options, including a revive and some other options to give negative status effects to enemies and deal with crowns. Overall, this game is yet another showcase of Peach's capability and character, in a setting and gameplay style where she and the rest of the cast can really thrive. Going back to platformers, we have Super Mario 64, which unfortunately doesn't have much of a role for Peach due to being the big defining step for 3D gaming as a whole. Peach invites Mario over to her castle for some cake. No, I'm not making the joke, there's an actual cake to eat at the end of the game. But then she gets kidnapped by Bowser within her own castle before Mario arrives. Now, I've heard about house arrest, but this is ridiculous. And it somehow won't be the only time Peach gets held hostage in her own home. Regardless, this game isn't really doing much for Peach, but we do learn that she has a secret slide, which I just think is really funny, honestly. I want a secret slide now. Our next entry is Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64, the spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. In this game, Peach invites Mario and Luigi to her castle for a party, only for Bowser to lift the castle into space with his own castle, and banish Mario to the ground, kidnapping Peach within her own home again. We should keep a counter for this, honestly. Peach wishes for some help and unintentionally summons a star kid named Twink. I don't know how to feel about that name and what it implies for himself, or about Peach considering she just randomly summoned him without trying. Regardless, Twink agrees to deliver Peach's lucky star pendant to Mario and do whatever else he can to help Mario and his friends rescue her from Bowser. Peach then spends the rest of the game essentially playing Metal Gear and sneaking around the castle looking for clues that she can then send to Mario via Twink. She also bakes a cake at one point, very in character for her, and participates in a random quiz show. At the end of the game, she and Twink work together to defeat Kammy Koopa, Bowser's right-hand woman, and then she, on behalf of everyone in the Mushroom Kingdom, makes a wish that powers up all of the star spirits enough to weaken Bowser and give Mario an opportunity to beat him once and for all. She then has another party and a parade and a fireworks show, although that last one is just with Mario at his house. Despite being kidnapped for essentially the entire game, Peach still has a very active role throughout the entire story, and is pivotal in helping Mario defeat Bowser, which is exactly the kind of role she should have in Mario games. And we're back with getting kidnapped and not doing much for the story again in Super Mario Sunshine. While trying to vacation at the beautiful Isle Delfino, which, as a fun fact, was apparently based on Italy, which I didn't know prior to making this video, but it makes my opinions on the Sunshine-themed Mario Kart tracks make a lot more sense in retrospect. Peach gets kidnapped multiple times by Shadow Mario, aka Bowser Jr. She also has a very strange reaction to Bowser Jr. calling her his mother. Like, if someone claimed that they were my child, I would have a much stronger reaction. Then again, maybe that's because I'm 19, don't care about sex, and don't live in a world where babies are delivered by storks like some kind of reproductive Uber Eats. Anyways, she doesn't really get to do much in this game, even getting overruled in court when trying to defend Mario, which I don't think is how the legal system is supposed to work, but maybe I'm just naive. Regardless, Mario saves her and they enjoy their vacation, business as usual, let's move on. Next up is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. I spent way too long trying to figure out the plot of this game, but I think I figured it out, and if I get something wrong then complain about it in the comments and I won't care in the slightest. But from what I understand about the story of this game, Peach isn't kidnapped in the beginning of the story. Instead, she gets her voice stolen by Cackletta and Fawful, and almost gets kidnapped by Bowser before Mario and Luigi stop him. She then spends the first half of the game just hanging out in the Mushroom Kingdom until she shows up at the Bean Bean Castle, where it's revealed that psych, she's perfectly fine, and her voice was never stolen. She was warned of the attempt to steal her voice beforehand, and got an imposter Peach to take her place in the form of Birdo. I don't fully understand how you make this believable in any capacity, but it does make sense since their voices are complete opposites of each other. This is a very lore-based game after all. Anyway, she gets kidnapped a little later by Bowletta, which is the unholy amalgamation of Bowser's body and Cackletta's essence, and then thanks to a trick, Mario is reunited with her while Luigi goes with Bowletta and Fawful disguises her. The game tries to pretend that this isn't as good of a disguise as Birdo's when this is absolutely not the case, but that's besides the point. This essentially serves as the end of Peach's role in this game. She gets a moment that reinforces her dark sense of humor like in Super Mario Bros. 3, and that's essentially it for her character, which, while unfortunate, does make sense for a game titled Mario and Luigi. I'd expect them and their relationship to get a lot more importance than Peach and Mario, or Peach and anyone else for that matter. But the RPG train doesn't stop quite yet, because now we've got Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door. Peach goes on vacation in a slummy city and runs off on her own before running into a mysterious stranger on the street that gives her a magic map. I'd probably end up in a similar situation because of my ADD, if I'm being honest. She mails the magic map to Mario and then immediately gets kidnapped, because of course. But now we're back to Paper Mario's roots, with Peach getting trapped in space playing Metal Gear to get information to Mario with the assistance of an OC. This time being Tech XX, a computer that falls in love with Peach while she teaches it the concept of love in really weird ways, like dancing with the hologram of herself, or giving her information about the crystal stars with a creepy quiz show. Eventually, Peach gets taken through the Thousand-Year Door into the Palace of Shadow, where she temporarily becomes the host for the Shadow Queen, and, after being freed from possession, gives the last of her power to Mario to help him defeat the Shadow Queen. But that's about it from her, and we don't get much new information about her in this game, except for the fact that she loves treasure hunting, which, again, is very based. But now we have the first game with Peach as the only playable character, that being Super Princess Peach. She goes for a stroll, and while she's away, Bowser kidnaps Mario, Luigi, and Toad using the Vibe Scepter, which affects people's emotions. Peach has to use a sentient parasol named Perry and her own powerful emotions to defeat Bowser and rescue her three friends. Gender stereotypes aside, the ability to use her emotions to solve puzzles and defeat enemies is honestly pretty cool. And Peach is very expressive with her four available options: joy, gloom, rage, and calm. It's a cool idea that I think was used pretty well. I just wish this wasn't Peach's first solo outing due to the aforementioned gender stereotypes. And we're back with another Mario and Luigi game that I struggle to understand the plot of, that being Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. However, I don't need to understand most of it, because I do understand that Peach isn't actually doing anything for most of the story. She traps the Elder Princess Shroob inside the Cobalt Star Pieces, and then gets kidnapped by the Shroobs, led by the other Princess Shroob. Mario, Luigi, Baby Mario, and Baby Luigi spend a good chunk of the game with said Princess Shroob disguising herself as Peach. There's also Baby Peach, but she is equally absent for most of the story and has even less plot relevance. I'm moving on now, these games are making my brain hurt. Alright, next up is our first new Super Mario Bros. Game, this one being for the DS. The story is very light. A thundercloud strikes Peach's castle, and then Bowser Jr. kidnaps Peach and Mario has to go rescue her. I have nothing else to say about this game. The plot is somehow simpler than Super Mario Bros. On the NES. Now we have Super Paper Mario, and this story is as insane as the rest of the RPGs I've talked about so far, especially the Mario and Luigi games. The game starts with Peach getting kidnapped for the gazillionth time, this time by Count Black. He then forces Peach to marry Bowser against her will, which summons the Chaos Heart. If the qualification for summoning the Chaos Heart is a marital bond, then I don't think it should have worked if Peach was put under literal mind control to say I do, which did happen by the way, but regardless, it worked somehow. Then she gets sent to Castle Black and tries to escape with a random Hammer Bro and Koopa Troopa. But Nastasia the mind control person catches them and mind controls the latter two, while Peach gets randomly teleported somewhere else. That somewhere else being in the sky above the town of Flipside. Mario finds her and gives her spicy soup to wake her up, and then she insists on joining Mario and the Pixels on their adventure to retrieve the 8 pure hearts and stop Count Black. They go on their way. She rejects an incel chameleon named Francis who tries to woo her with a dating sim device. She gets sent to this game's version of Purgatory and needs to be revived again because she took a bite out of a forbidden golden apple. She gets into a fight with this girl Mimi and then falls into a pit trying to save her. She then finds Luigi unconscious after he tried to fight Dimension and got amnesia, and then they and Bowser all collapse through to the inner sanctum where Mario, Tippy, and Count Black are having an argument, and then they all defeat Dimension and save the world somehow. This game has a lot of characters and a ton of moving parts. Most of it is heavily oversimplified for fans of this game, but is still too much information for people who have never heard of this game before. But Peach is an active member for a ton of the game, and that's really cool. I like that about this game. Anyways, next up is Super Mario Galaxy, where Peach spends the entire game kidnapped by Bowser and not doing anything. I swear, Nintendo used to be better about having Peach remain active despite being kidnapped, but now she's just doing nothing. It's so wasteful. She has so much more to give, and they literally proved so with Super Mario Bros. 3. Why can't they repeat something similar with that game's use of Peach as a character? Next up is Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, which in case you couldn't tell by the title, doesn't really have a ton of room to focus on Peach. Peach calls an emergency conference at her castle after Toads start becoming inflation, but then Bowser shows up, gets defeated by Mario and Luigi, and then shows up again after eating a vacuum mushroom and bores everyone. Why does that sentence make any sense? I hate it here. After a good portion of the game, Mario and Luigi find Peach. She lore dumps to them about what Fawful, the guy from Mario and Luigi Superstar that's now the new main antagonist, is up to, and then he gets kidnapped by Fawful and his minion Middas and spends the rest of the game doing absolutely nothing. While this game does yet again reinforce the fact that she has a lot of knowledge and power thanks to yet another magical artifact requiring her specifically, she still doesn't feel fully utilized to her potential. But I think this time it's fine, seeing as this game has to deal with 3 main protagonists already. And we go from Peach doing virtually nothing to Peach doing actually nothing with New Super Mario Bros. Wii. This game was my childhood, but man, it is not doing anything for Princess Peach in the slightest. She's celebrating her birthday with Mario, Luigi, Ala, and Buckin when she gets kidnapped by Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings inside a giant birthday cake. Ironic. She then spends the rest of the game kidnapped until the gang rescues her from Bowser, and then she asks Mario if she told him about the secret world. Add forgetfulness to the list of things about Peach that I love about her and relate to, I guess. I don't know, I'm running out of things to say with some of these games. They really don't utilize her much sometimes, especially the new Super Mario Bros. Series, which we are only halfway through. Yippee! Super Mario Galaxy 2. I sure hope it isn't like the first Super Mario Galaxy and that Peach isn't used essentially at all. Oh, yep, it is. She invites Mario over for cake like in Super Mario 64. I must reiterate that it is the kind of cake that you eat at birthday parties, and then gets kidnapped by Bowser again. Mario rescues her and they return home. The end. Man, we're really in a dead zone for Peach's character, huh? Well, that gets fixed soon. Well, we do learn that she likes watching shooting stars, which, again, relatable, love it. Moving on to Super Mario 3D Land, Peach gets kidnapped by Bowser again, who could have guessed? Mario gets a ton of letters keeping him updated on what's happening, and most of them center around Peach. She gets transported via airship to Bowser's castle. She wishes on the stars for Mario to help her, which, according to Paper Mario, should have done something, but nothing happens, meaning that they are, in fact, separate universes that I'm treating as similar enough for the sake of this video. She gets threatened by a tower of Goombas. She beats up the Tower of Goombas, and she even tries to escape Bowser's clutches, before getting recaptured. After Mario rescues her, and then in the post-game rescues Luigi, she somehow gets kidnapped again, and Mario rescues her again. She's once again not up to much, and we don't really learn a ton about her that we didn't already know. Maybe the next game will do her justice. The next game is New Super Mario Bros. 2. It does not do Peach justice, because she gets kidnapped at the beginning of the game and does literally nothing of her own accord. We just got through a game which, while lackluster in the princess department, at least gave Peach some interesting stuff to do and fun little side stories throughout the main game, but this game has quite literally nothing. I'm getting so tired of this happening over and over again. I wasn't planning on getting this tired of the basic plots of Mario game when making this video, but here we are. Well, at least the Paper Mario games have consistently been really good so far, and next up is Paper Mario Sticker Star. Surely this game will break the curse of underutilizing Peach and, oh, Peach gets kidnapped by Bowser at the beginning of the game and doesn't do anything until Mario rescues her. Hang on. You know, I know there's a lot of reasons why people hate this game, but I found my reason to hate this game. Let's just move on. New Super Mario Bros. U, and New Super Luigi U, and New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Pick your poison, they're all essentially the same. Peach gets kidnapped by Bowser within her own castle. You know what? I'll give a fraction of an ounce of credit for that one. We haven't seen that in a hot second. Anyways, you go rescue her with Mario or Luigi or that one character I refuse to acknowledge the existence of. It doesn't matter anymore. Mario and Luigi Dream Team follows in the footsteps of other Mario Luigi games, in having a plot that I don't understand, and not using Peach much. She and the gang go to Pillow Island and have a good time, but then she gets kidnapped by Phantasma, the big evil bad guy, and later Bowser, who teamed up with Phantasma in the middle of the game, who betrays him and kidnaps Peach himself, and that's it for her importance to the story. I've become numb to everything. I stopped saying nice things about Peach. I just need one game where she's active, especially as a playable character. Just one. Please. Alright, next up is Super Mario 3D World. My savior! Finally, after over 3/4 of a decade, we have Peach playable again. She's still an easy character thanks to her floating ability, but she's here, and the opening cutscene reinforces her kind, caring, and compassionate nature, and she can use the Tanuki Leap again, but they changed how it looked from Super Mario 3D Land. On the one hand, I think the land version makes more sense, but also I'm really not complaining. Anyways, Super Mario 3D World isn't technically doing much, but compared to the slew of absolutely nothing we just got, it is a miracle. I really like this game now. I mean, I already did, but now I appreciate it even more. Next up is Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. There's two princesses, and neither of them are doing anything. They get kidnapped by the two Bowsers, and then that's about it. There's also Papercraft Peach in addition to Princess Peach and Paper Peach, but that's just a statue used by Mario, Luigi, and Paper Mario. I am just indifferent to the Mario and Luigi games not doing anything with this character. They just don't have room for her. Moving on. Paper Mario Color Splash is up next. Peach spends most of the game kidnapped. Is anyone surprised by this? She is the one to approach Mario about the threat to Port Prisma, and while kidnapped she sends holograms to Mario, keeping him updated on what Bowser's up to, so she's not entirely wasted. But compared to the first three Paper Mario games, it's pathetic. What happened to this series? Super Mario Odyssey is, in my opinion, the best of the games where Peach spends essentially the entire game kidnapped. This obviously sucks, but I think the ending and post-game managed to give her enough to do to make it worthwhile. Seeing Peach stop the advances of Mario and Bowser so confidently is honestly hilarious, and she goes on a tour of the different kingdoms of the game with Tiara after Mario defeats Bowser, sporting several amazing-looking outfits and handing out power moves out of generosity and care for Mario's interest in them. After visiting the moon, she returns to the Mushroom Kingdom and invites people from all over the world to visit, pointing out how deep down we're all similar despite our outward appearances, which is such a deep and poignant message that, while seeming out of place in a Mario game, fits perfectly with her character. This is the way I want her to be portrayed in every Mario game from here on out if she isn't playable. The person who looks at who someone is on the inside and shows genuine care for everyone she meets. Anyways, here's Paper Mario the Origami King. Peach gets folded into an evil origami version of herself and has like 3 creepy cutscenes with Mario and then does literally nothing else. She gets folded into an inanimate wall decoration inside the origami castle at the very end of the game, like the cutscene right before the final boss. While she technically didn't get kidnapped, the complete lack of Princess Peach in this game is one of 2 things wrong with this game, and the other is the battle system. Like I said, the fall from grace between the first half of the Paper Mario franchise and the second half when it comes to Princess Peach usage and just quality in general is absurd. And we're so back now with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Peach doesn't have anything particularly special about her, but she's here and she's playable, which is honestly better than her not being playable. I also want to point out that despite the number of games on this list, the passage of time here is absolutely insane. Remember back in the Super Mario 3D World section where I mentioned that it had been over 7.5 years since her last playable appearance in Super Paper Mario? Well, the gap between Super Mario 3D World and Super Mario Bros. Wonder is over 10 years long. It was over a decade between Peach's playable appearances. Granted, some of that comes down to the gap between Wonder and Origami King and the gap between Origami King and Odyssey being about 3 years each, but still, it was an absurd amount of time, and it's just nice to have more Peachy goodness in these games. Especially because this game gives this render of Peach, which I love so much and has become my wallpaper on my phone and computer. She's just vibing. I love that. And last but most certainly not least, at least for right now, we have Princess Peach Showtime, the only other game besides Super Princess Peach to feature exclusively Peach as a playable character. Peach decides to unleash her inner theater kid and intend to show at the Sparkle Theater. But before any of the shows begin, the evil Madame Grape and her minions the Sour Bunch take over the theater. They trap the Sparklers, the main actors of the performances, in the basement, and they trap Peach and numerous thieves who are employees and supporting actors inside the theater. Peach quickly befriends Stella, the guardian of the theater, and works with her to save the theater. She uses a Sparkle ability and a variety of transformation, which each come with their own unique abilities and amazing looking outfits, to traverse the theater, cheer up thieves, battle the Sour Bunch, and ultimately defeat Grape and save the Sparkle Theater. While it's a pretty simple game from what I've heard about it, it's had a pretty big impact on Peach's abilities, character, and public perception. And I'm really looking forward to everything else they are able to do with this character moving forward. I would like to suggest even more outfits in the future. They're all unique and amazing. And that's it for the games for now, minus some games that I didn't include because I didn't think they would add anything interesting to the discussion. Overall, in spite of the reputation she has as only being the damsel in distress, Peach has been overthrowing that stereotype fairly consistently since practically the beginning, and that movement has only been getting stronger as time has gone on, especially in recent years. I think Nintendo has picked up on the power of having a strong female tritagonist to accompany the brothers serving as the protagonist and deuteragonist, and I'd argue it's working. Peach is now at her best in nearly 40 years, and this video wouldn't exist without Peach turning into one of the Three Musketeers after all. She's been on a nice streak of not getting kidnapped, and I'm praying that the upcoming Mario and Luigi Brothership is able to keep that streak going instead of falling back on the trend of the Dark Age between Super Paper Mario and Super Mario 3D World. But that's it for this video. Thanks for getting me to 25 subscribers, and I'll see you all in October. Oh no. Help me!